We can start.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this installment of CxO Global Forum show on healthcare technology called Health is Wealth. We have with us in the show Dr. Amer Nagi, who is the managing director of Navigant Solutions and has made a name for himself in Pakistan's pharmaceutical industry as a budding consultant that every single uh, person out there goes to for very budding advice. So I'd like to welcome you to the show, Dr. Amer. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. I'd like to start off by talking, as this is going to be the last show that we're going to be hosting in the year 2021, about how healthcare has fared in Pakistan. It's steadily, the budget has been going up, but it's constituting less than 1% of our national budget, seeing that we're so very focused on spending on defense and infrastructure development. But at the same time, we should count ourselves lucky with Omicron cases in the UK exceeding 100,000 daily cases. But with us, it's around three to 400 daily cases of COVID. And certain reports, though they miss and match, they say that around 75 Omicron cases have been confirmed. But we should still count ourselves, lucky at this point, and we should hope that it does turn out to be what experts have been calling the disease, a mild yet more transmissible form of the original COVID strain. But now more to the show and our guests. So, Dr. Amer, once again, have to reiterate, this is essentially, what excites me about holding these shows. It's not just about discussing uh, COVID and healthcare. It's about merging it with another passion of mine, which has also become part and parcel of my career, technology. And when I hear, about your work with Navigant Solutions, I see that you kind of hold a similar background to, say, the background that I have, where I'm well versed in healthcare, and I'm also, just getting the hang of technology. And technology, actually, like healthcare, are ever changing industries. They're both kind of reliant on each other in a way, because healthcare is dependent on progression and change. And with technology, right, ultimately, the biggest tech companies out there have oftentimes neglected the health and well-being of their staff, and now that's becoming such a thing these days, with mental health days being offered at some of the biggest companies, namely tech companies, to their workers. But more about you. So the first question I want to ask or pose you is how you got started in healthcare, and then, how you got into other projects further on.
Yeah. Thank you, Bilal, again for inviting me over. Primarily, I had no, I was not sure with that, I would be getting in this area of work because my background is of medical education. I got graduated from Ailaaj some years ago, worked in different hospitals for 4 or 5 years. But incidentally, I have a family background history of more than 60, 70 years of working with pharma industry. My close family members were part of the industry for over the years. And, I got interested. I talked to them. I discussed that, okay, I want to change from, healthcare to pharmaceuticals. So eventually, I found my way. I landed a job, sales, and started from there. Then did training, then did business management, product management, and all. I mean, I was ready to do anything which was like licensing, ISO certifications. So my main objective was to have hand-on experience the whole thing. So after doing sales, marketing, training, I joined startup company. Basically, I wanted to understand that how pharmaceutical products are being manufactured and what is the supply chain and how the project is managed. So that was a good, healthy experience. And then after doing that, we gave life to the project and it became pretty successful. I started my first project, and incidentally, that was, you can say, tech related project. Way back in 2003, we developed and launched the physician's desktop reference. It was kind of a, directory of pharmaceuticals which were available in Pakistan. But because of my background, I tried to customize it. It had very simple access database and VB front end, and it was CD based, and those days dial-up was used it for connecting the internet. And so we thought that we should provide something on the CD which would be helpful for all people involved in healthcare, like doctors, like pharmacists, even for companies. It had ready-made solutions for different. You could search for company profiles, and you could do search different generics, available options, price comparison, stuff like that. So that we did, and during the process, since I was meeting all of these blue chip companies from Karachi, MNCs, large local corporates, so we started discussing different options. I did projects for GlaxoSmithKline, Roche, CCL, other companies as well. And we again tech based. That was the time of Flash. We started developing promotional materials in Flash and stuff like that. And so apart from doing the feasibility consulting, that also started. Um, this this is the start, and then we started having international clients doing feasibilities of pharma in Pakistan, local business development, bridging companies, sourcing products. Since I was that was my first venture. It was called Webco, and we also started getting work from development sector. I did a project with Mott McDonald, and it's a very prestigious international firm. And they had a local arm in Pakistan. They hired us as senior consultants, myself and another colleague of mine, and we visited all of the provinces in Pakistan, evaluating their procurement processes, evaluating their drug storage facilities, their drug specifications, and all that. It was long exercise. We gave it a whole year. We designed solutions for them, and we repeated that project next year as well. So in that way, I had the opportunity to evaluate the hospitals, the services they were providing, workload, and patient load, and capacities, design, multiple faculties in healthcare. So that also opened a door parallel to doing pharmaceuticals. I did a few projects in healthcare as well, because of my medical background, and worked in different specialties initially. So that helped me a lot in understanding the healthcare system in public and private, semi-private sector. And this thing moved forward. Besides the my main forte of pharmaceuticals.
That's wonderful. It's a very, very elaborate story of how you came from that background of pharmaceuticals and how you continued down that path, and how you acknowledge that technology would leverage growth and
Certainly.
benefit all stakeholders involved. So my next question naturally comes down to the fact that in the tech space, there's this very famous maxim of Moore's law, that as technologies get progress more and more, they become cheaper to develop, and there's more transistors involved in them. But you have the exact opposite effect of pharmaceuticals, and it's called Moore's law. Sorry, Room's law, where they say that there are actually less drugs being developed, and the average cost of developing a drug exponentially gets higher and higher. So I was doing a course through Harvard Medical School recently, and their findings suggested that in this day and age, just through the FDA, one out of every 40,000 drug applications actually makes it to market. And the average cost of developing that drug is at least $1 billion. So we know, with that being said, right, combining that mentality of being in pharma with tech is kind of antithetical, because you
Mhm.
have, an industry that's very quick moving, and then you also have an industry that has traditionally been very rigid. So my next question naturally has to do with the fact that, or me asking about the technologies that you've, experienced in your field of work, and essentially the allocation and the preference of pharmaceuticals in investing in technology in that regard. Like, how reluctant are they, or, to a certain extent, which ones are the ones that are more open to this investment?
Yeah, I mean, it's traditionally when I was part of the industry and I used to work in the sales department, we used to do manual work mostly. We used to write down reports and mail reports, courier materials, stuff like that. Uh, because pharmaceuticals is primarily, you know, we need to understand the Pakistani market. It's more formulation, market. We import a lot of inputs, and we formulate products, and we market those products. That's the main crux. Over the years, the quality has gone up. Industry has exponentially improved the quality, availability of complex products, salts, and technology has certainly helped. The involvement was very gradual over the years, I would say, more focused on primarily on sales generation, reporting systems, and all that. How to manage your sales team and reporting system in time, evaluation, stuff like that. So ERPs were adopted over the years by different company. SAP is very popular. Oracle, locally developed softwares were involved. And lately, this thing, with the introduction of computed production equipment and machinery and the lab equipment, and regulation changes from regulatory authorities, the companies have moved towards more of automation in production and quality control, quality assurance that is directly proportional to the output and quality of the product. So that has these things have complemented a lot in growth of products and introduction of molecules and generics. We have, as of today, the mainstream pharma is of generics and uh, by local companies. New products or molecules are also introduced, but under the patent, either from local corporates or from international companies.
So the
So,
patent, I've been told, in Pakistan is not so much on the chemical
yeah,
the policy
yes,
to how.
by this mentioning patent is basically the companies internationally have a research line. They work either with their own development centers or uh, research labs, and they buy international rights or sole proprietorships and stuff like that. So what happens is, when they introduce this product in the market, it comes as a new molecule and it has its own patent, its life. But in Pakistan, because of economic conditions and we are a low price market, in fact. So it's very difficult for common people to purchase expensive products because, as you must have observed, the new research, new molecules, they enter the market with uh, reasonable pricing, but still
You
affordability
get Me Too
factor.
competitors coming in as well. As you saw, this is the case with Sovaldi coming in, that it was
Yeah.
literally being offered in Pakistan, and I would say at that time potentially like a percentage of the price. You're talking about single digits, but still there were others that came in that even beat that price by being around, 20%
Yeah.
of the price that was going at. So it's
So that helps the market, that helps the common people, and that sort of instills the competition. So people, because the regulation is very tight in Pakistan in terms of implementing the laws. So what happens is, while the companies are competing in the market on commercial basis, there's also pressure on them to come up with the right quality product. So
absolutely
it's not easy. So
that.
in this case, people get good quality product at a very reasonable price
Yeah.
for consumption.
So
Yeah,
so that leads on to, I guess, what naturally would befittingly be the final question of this webinar.
yeah,
And for those who don't know, Dr. Amer elaborated on the more expensive drugs out there in the market. So there are essentially two classifications of drugs. One are small molecules, and the other are biologics. Biologics,
yeah,
for the most part, mainly when they're talked about, encompass vaccines, but they can also include insulin and other sort of drugs that are more or less based on biotech, not ones that are formulated through allopathic means. So in this case, right,
yeah.
the COVID vaccine will obviously be a talking point, and people, I think, would like to know, why hasn't Pakistan come forth as a strong biologics player globally? I think money is one reason, but could you think of some other reasons as well and elaborate, how money or lack of it is the reason why we haven't, you said, started developing our own vaccines, not just for COVID, but for, say, the flu even?
Very good question, Bilal. I think this is high time that this market moved in that direction. For the information of the people who are not aware, Pakistan has the sixth largest manufacturing infrastructure base in the world. So when I tell people about this number, they are mostly astonished. Many people who never heard of Pakistan, when they hear this, that we have the sixth largest manufacturing base in the world, they are surprised. Consequently, we have a lot of talented people, gifted to us by the MNCs and developed and trained by local corporates as well. Uh, the mainstream pharma, we have top line production, QC, regulatory people who are important in ensuring the quality product, production of the quality product. Besides this, as I've told you, we are into formulations. Our industry somehow has not been able to vertically integrate, which you find this integration you find in neighboring countries. Uh, One of the main reasons is that first of all, we need to, before getting into biologics, I'll discuss that as well. But first of all, we need to vertically integrate in the mainstream pharma, like manufacturing the equipment, the production machinery, the QC equipment, and most importantly, manufacturing the APIs, which are more than 90% is imported. So we can, if we get into this area of vertically integrating the whole industry, we'll be in much better position to provide quality, high volume products locally and internationally. Now, coming to the biologicals is main, it's produced, these products are produced through live, cells. So in this case, we have two to three functioning units in Pakistan, as you must have heard, and they have done remarkable work in a very short period of time. Uh, I believe, since I'm a consultant, advise people in setting up businesses in Pakistan, or how to expand and where to expand, what kind of products and what kind of business models one should choose. People have discussed biological seriously, and one player might have also started by now because they were very keen to invest in Pakistan biologicals. But there are two kinds of. There's a segregation. One is from basic to finished product, and from just importing the semi-finished product and putting this on the filling line. What we have mostly is, filling line process over here. We import semi-finished or in bulk quantity, and we fill the line. We fill the product. And the other one is, starting from basic, modernizing or changing the genes of the cell and to get the required protein, and then putting that into a certain chamber which would providing the environment for to proliferate, to grow, for those cells to grow, and then finally keeping a storage portion of that, and the other one goes on the production line. I believe capital is, as you mentioned, is a barrier. Since we are the whole industry, companies have grown exponentially over the years, and they're exporting. They're serious exporters. But once they have made good revenue through their business, then they can start into a new venture. And they would definitely require support from the government in terms of training, in terms of designing regulations, in terms of acquiring certifications, in terms of soft loans, grants. The whole package needs to be there for any player in Pakistan to get into biologicals, because it has its own incubation time, the project incubation time, which spans over several years. Designing project and getting approvals at every stage, international from international agencies, certification agencies, and again in this process, the technical HR is required. If you have such a small base of biological, like 2-3 units in Pakistan, for any fourth or fifth facility, from where they'll be getting experts of their particular area, like virology lab, or gene mutation, or development of new cells, or specialists of their own area, like insulins, like interleukins, like oncology products. So there is I mean, people are interested. I would certainly say we need to. What I would say, I will try to provide the solution in this case. What I foresee is that the local corporates, the regulatory authorities, and the international investors and international companies who are already established either in the neighboring countries or in Europe or in Far East, they should get into a joint venture. And we should provide the infrastructure, ground base. They should be providing with the equipment, expertise, and from there onwards, they can pool in their capital, and they can take a start. And the project should be designed not only for the local market, although we have a very large market of 220 million or more. The project should be primarily focused on exports besides the local market. Then it will be a very successful venture. So I believe technology definitely would play a lot of role, because you have to deal with a lot of data. There's a lot of testing. There's a lot of certification and documentation that is required, and you need to keep on getting approvals from international regulators as well. So I believe it is pretty much doable. The time is right. People are interested. International players are interested. What we need to do is, bring people together, and and definitely, I'm sure they'll be able to find a way forward.
That sounds like a very, very good trajectory that we can take, and hopefully something that I'd like to see come to fruition. Thank you very much, Dr. Amer Nagi, and wish you a
Pleasure.
happy new year. And like to bid farewell to our guests as well, going into 2022. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
for having me.
You're
Goodbye.
welcome. Bye-bye.